now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show. You're now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
All right, good evening, good folks, and welcome to another segment of the Cold Hard Truth. You guys notice me wearing my specs, which are dirty. Wow. You know, I have always wondered, when you wear glasses, you always notice how they get so dirty. When you don't wear glasses, does all that debris go into your eye? All that dust? No wonder I always feel like I have dry eyes. Maybe they might actually improve now that I'm back to wearing glasses. But anyway, I don't need them when I'm in front of the computer. So normally I do take them off for the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We have got to get right down to the nitty gritty tonight because we only have an hour and absolutely no time to waste at all. Let me just tell you guys that I am so not surprised at today's news that someone, and I wish we knew who they were, because trust me, they would be jackass of the entire year. So someone has decided to breach quarantine restrictions, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. We don't know who it is, but good morning, Morna. Hi, Nancy. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Good evening to you, Linda. Can I just call you Kavita, because that first name, Nagish, maybe, from Guyana. Thank you so much, darling, for tuning in. Maureen, Diane. Yes, Larry, all the way from New York. And of course, Miss Beulah is here for it. What is going on, folks, in the Cayman Islands? How stupid can you get? So this unnamed person, and I feel like, Amani, we will do the graduation after the show. So I will be streaming it then. But I do feel like whoever this person is, they are incredibly just ridiculous and has jeopardized an entire program. And as far as I'm concerned, did I say good morning? My apologies if I said good morning. I meant to say good evening for sure. They have just jeopardized this entire program and the success of us as a country fighting COVID. Listen, I honestly think that these individuals need to be, because there's two of them at least, I honestly think that a fine isn't enough and they should be put in jail. Incarceration makes more sense to me, and it sends the right message that we have zero tolerance for anyone who breaches the COVID home quarantining provisions. But who's surprised by this? Nobody. Do you guys remember when we were discussing right before the 17th, so it probably would have been like around the 15th of the month of last month, we were talking about how, okay, they're going to do this initial trial. And during one of the morning programs, I said to you guys, listen, we all know how this is going to go. It is impossible for this team to be monitoring people 24/7. The team consists of, I think they said 20 people or something. They were going to add a few more as they continue to bring people in. So you do the math. If you have a couple hundred people, in the quarantine system, and I think the flight the other day had 100 and something persons on it, The more persons you get, the less likely you're going to be able to increase those numbers. I think I just saw a mosquito in here, to a sufficient, monitoring to traveler ratio. So let us be quite frank and honest in terms of how this is going to work. Okay. You got 200 people. Say you get 25 individuals on this team who are doing the monitoring. Any math people in here? You do the math for me. 25 to 200 to 300 to 400 to 500 people, because the numbers will only exponentially increase. And the question I have is, at some point, are we capping the number of persons that we are letting in at any given time? Like, has the team said, and this is not information that they have shared with the public, but has this team said, okay, we cannot have or handle any more than 150 or 200 people in quarantine simultaneously? Because remember now, we've got flights coming in. Every fortnight, the BA flight is coming in. BA can carry a good load. That's a pretty big flight, right? Issue with the internet just now. But Cheryl, the next good point that you make is, even if we charge them, what's the penalty going to be? Well, let me just have a look at it, because unfortunately, the penalty isn't anything that's going to have anybody concerned. What's $1,000? Remember what I said about the 15th of the month, or whose wife has been away during the entire quarantining period, starts to look at Miss Smith next door and think, I'm WhatsApping Miss Smith. She's cute. I want to come over for a midnight cup of tea. And whatever else goes with the tea. And, 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, that person gets up, goes over next door, visits Mrs. Smith. The quarantine bracelet isn't going to go off, because that doesn't tell us anything in terms of who's coming into your space. And there is no way to monitor that. And this is $1,000 and up to 6 months imprisonment. Well, I can tell you that no judge in this jurisdiction is going to send anybody to jail. You assault someone and they barely want to send you to jail. So do I believe that a 6-month jail sentence is a likelihood? Nope. Everybody's going to be fine. In the meantime, what is really happening here is that they are jeopardizing people's lives. We don't know who these people are. Someone even said to me yesterday, there's one person hospitalized with COVID right now. What facility are they at? Are they at Health City? Are they at Georgetown Hospital? Because they needed to go to one of those locations for a procedure for a child, and they don't want to go not knowing if the person's at that facility. And I said, guess what? No one is going to tell you that. That's patient confidentiality. So no one is going to tell you what facility they are at. And so you won't know, and you are relying on other people doing their job and doing it correctly in hopes that that person who is in the hospital is contained away from other patients. The people who work with them, the hospital staff, the medical professionals, are being smart enough to protect themselves, and they're not being exposed so that they then have to go to lockdown and in quarantine. And we reflect back on the early days of the COVID situation here in the Cayman Islands with patient number 1, and we realize that the professionals missed the mark on that at Health City. Let's not forget it. So we've learned a lot, I must say, since March. So hopefully we never have a repeat of that situation. But the bottom line is, you are only as strong as your weakest link. And if your weakest link is weak and you have got a problem, believe me when I tell you, we are in for a whole lot of trouble. I think they need to make this a $10,000 fine and a $10,000 fine and a year in prison for any breaches. Then people might start taking it seriously. But again, they're going to take a chance knowing that in the middle of the night, who is going to be monitoring them? Listen, the team of 22 people who are part of the monitoring team, the travel time team, or what do they call themselves now? Travel Cayman or whatever, right? They got to sleep. And yes, they're on a 24/7 rotation. So say at night, they have, maybe they're working 12-hour shifts. So say they've got 12 of their 22 team members on. 12 people monitoring 200 people doing drive-bys is impossible. At some point, they're going to miss. Because all you need is a tight window. So this is what this is, you know. The government has said the person was in very close proximity to the traveler's home and was rapidly responded. So guess what? This is a neighbor. This is someone up the street walking down to your house. And here is the problem. There is going to be no level of accountability from other people in your neighborhood because the government will not tell us who is in quarantine. So if we don't know who's in quarantine and you see your neighbor going to check the next neighbor, the only thing you might be worried about is, I wonder why he's going over at 2 o'clock in the morning with her. He's a man. You may be home in the luxury of your own home at 2 o'clock in the morning sleeping, like most of us. So you're going to miss the boat. You're not going to see the neighbors frolicking with each other in the middle of the night. And I would be curious to know how they even caught these two. And I would think that it was just by chance, just by, what do we call it, happenstance or whatever. It just happened. And they're probably not really bright. And, you know, at the end of the day, I'm willing to bet that they had done it already multiple times and gotten away with it. And it was just this last go around that they caught it in action. And it was like, okay, you're in breach. You know what should happen to the person who's visiting the other person? They should also now be forced to go into a government quarantine for 14 days since they've been exposed to a traveler, and then they should get tested at the end of the 14 days. Aha. Now we're talking about some real life consequences here that matter. So in addition to being prosecuted and the matter being taken to court, immediately you go into lockdown, you go into quarantine. And you know what? When you think about the fact that your freedom might be taken from you for making such a stupid decision, you might rethink whether the breach. So account. Now, we know that these persons will be facing prosecution. Now, listen to this. They've moved that one person to the government quarantine facility. The traveler, along with their household, has been moved to a government quarantine facility. My opinion is the other person that should have been moved should have also been the person coming into the house. They need to lose their freedom. It says that that person is also detained. Detained where? And lockup is apparently so Anders was also arrested for obstructing the police. Can you imagine? You're going to breach quarantine and then have the audacity to obstruct the police and try to prevent the police from doing their job? That should be another 6 months jail sentence right there, folks. We have said, the government has said, that they are relying on people to be honest. Here's what we know, folks. People are not capable of being honest. The average person will cheat and lie and if they know that they can get away with it. That's the truth. And if they think they can get away with it, they will breach the law. And guess what? In this particular situation, a breach is a very serious situation for all of us. Puts us all at risk. Carol says, deport them if they're not Caymanians. Hey, why not? I agree that there should be some serious repercussions for breaking this type of law. If it's a person here on a work permit, even if they are a property owner, you know what? You're a persona non grata for 6 months. Get out and you cannot come back for the next 6 months. Doesn't matter if you own property or not. This is how incredibly serious we need to take this breach in these type of situations. Nancy wants to know if the flight from Miami last night was full. Well, I don't know if it was full or not, but what I do know is even a person. So Morna says, welcome to the attitude of the U.S. becoming a non-Christian society. Well, in my opinion, this doesn't have anything to do with Christianity. This is just stupidity. This had to do with you do not care. You are selfish and you do not care about anybody else but yourself. And when you don't care about anybody else but yourself, you will breach quarantine and not think of the real implications of your actions. No one's going to find out. I'm sure that's what they thought. Morna. Wonder how many people these two came into. Now, listen, we don't have those details, but here's what we do know. The press statement from government said that the traveler along with their household. So we could be talking about an individual with 2 more people in the household, another person, even children in their household. They were not only being selfish and thinking only of themselves, but guess what? They were also not thinking of the people in their houses. And you're absolutely right, Morna. Who else could have been exposed to them? How many times has this breach occurred? I am betting, like I said, I'll put that farm on the bet that this probably wasn't the first breach. And that person coming into the house then turns around and goes to the grocery store. They're going to the bank. They're probably at a job and they are working. And this is what they're doing in their spare time, going to visit a quarantine neighbor. Now, I'm sorry if I sound a bit draconian and like a dictator when it comes to some of the measures that we should be taking here. But you know what? If we are so keen to reopen our borders because we are thinking that this is going to be what is financially going to make the difference for some people in this country, whether they can continue to survive or not, here's what I do know, right? We need to know who's in quarantine. You should be giving up your right of privacy so that we can give up our right or seemingly give up our right of feeling, admittedly. And we are putting our lives in the hands of people that the government has said we need to trust these individuals. This is a trust situation. We're going to trust you to do the right thing. Well, you know what? I don't trust you to do the right thing. Especially after a breach like this, we can see that people are not prepared to do the right thing. And not only are they not prepared to do the right thing, folks, right? They'll throw us all under the bus. So you know what? I want to know if my next door neighbor's in quarantine. So there should be some means of putting a stake in the yard. I don't care what you do for the 14 days that that person is in quarantine to let people know. And you know what else it does? It holds you accountable in terms of the peer pressure from your neighbors. Because now if I know my neighbor across the street is in quarantine and I see people going over there, first thing I'm going to do is call, hello, 911, what's your emergency? Well, my neighbor's breaching quarantine. I was peeping out the window at 3 o'clock in the morning and I couldn't sleep and I saw somebody sneaking over there. Come and get them. Unfortunately, I think that we are in very precarious times. And if it means reporting on each other, then hey, so be it. Speaking of reporting on each other, This morning, we were talking about the fact that someone is looking for a facility to quarantine in. The government has said that that will not be allowed. That's not how it's going to work. Now, I get the sentiments that, oh, they're trying to save money, but there has to be a way that we do this. This isn't a free-for-all, right? The team that vets the applications and processes those applications need to be incredibly diligent and check where this person is going to be. Because believe me when I tell you, there will be people who will lie in order to get the benefit of coming into this country. Listen to this. Jamaica, this is a headline right now in Cayman Mall Road. Jamaica continues to see spike in COVID-19 cases. Mo Bay call center is closed. They have well over 7,000 cases, folks. 128 virus-related deaths. Just last week, a 12-year-old child lost his life to this virus. So I see a comment here. Who was that from? My apologies. Yes, Elaine says the virus is partial to no one. Doesn't matter your race, your nationality, your religious beliefs. If you're president of the United States, the virus does not care. And if the virus doesn't care, and the people who potentially might have it don't care, woo, we're in a whole heap of trouble. We had another positive case today, folks. That now represents from another traveler. So that person should have been in quarantine. And guess what? Well, that other positive case, I person is, I sure hope it's not the one that was breaching it or in their household. But once again, we see the numbers around the region, in the US, even in Europe, continuing to surge and spike. It's like up and down, up and down. So Jamaica's gone well over 7,000 cases. Not surprised, folks, not surprised. Let's just have a look here. Give me one quick second, and I'm going to get their figures. So it says, despite the alarmingly high number, Jamaica is back to business as usual, with citizens required to wear masks and an 8 p.m. curfew. Well, yeah, that they've been back to business from day one. I'm sorry to say, but Jamaica hasn't entirely taken it seriously. I see some people in a picture here wearing a mask. Well, that's great. But most Jamaicans are like, yeah, whatever. We got 3 million people. If we lose a couple hundred to this virus, who cares? That seems to be the pervasive attitude. I think once they start to get into like the thousands having died, they might finally say, you know what, we got to lock down this place in a serious way. And maybe the average person will then start to take it seriously. I don't really know what it's going to take. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to just look up the exact figures. So we can get, because I think it's well over 7,000. It's not just, it's not like it's just 7,000. It's probably at least 7,200. So Kansas, they're probably not the only ones breaching it either. Absolutely. And we don't know. We do not know. Doss, thank you so much for joining the program tonight. Doss says the fines are a joke. The fine should be no less than $100,000 and 5 years imprisonment. I am not going to feel upset about that. Just trying to see here if I can get the latest numbers. For Jamaica, 7,253 persons and 128 dead. The costs and consequences of breaking quarantine rules can cost this country millions and hundreds of lives. Inexcusable. I followed the rules. Yes, we did. And to think that we could go back into lockdown because one or two people are so incredibly selfish really makes me angry. And it makes us all angry. Nancy says at Georgetown Hospital last week, in the sections where children are vaccinated apart from the nurses, my granddaughter and I were the only ones in masks. Well, that shouldn't be, Nancy, because you are supposed to be wearing a mask when you go to the hospital. And there's a security guard at the front who, in theory, isn't supposed to let you in if you're not wearing a mask. So I had to go last week. Remember, I went for my appointment, I think it was like on Monday or Tuesday, about my knee. I keep a mask in the car, and I know that there's certain facilities I've got to wear a mask, and the hospital is supposed to be one of them. So how that could be in the child vaccination area, especially if they were adults. Now, babies and young children, I think under 5, they still are like, okay, they don't have to wear a mask. But that's crazy. Flacca agrees that they need to tell us who these persons are. Jonathan says we'll soon be back to lockdown thanks to the government. You know, I feel bad for the government because they are honestly between a rock and a hard place. What are they going to do? They have the entire tourism sector that is shut down. That's 30% of our economy. That is nothing to sneeze at. Believe me when I tell you, right? So I get their position. I understand why they are feeling the pinch to try to reopen to some degree, even if it is not a full reopening. Businesses are shutting down. We've had several restaurants shut down. The latest casualty has been Cayman Villas. And she has said, you know, vacation property rentals right now is dead. So what is she going to do? Oh, this is her friend Juliette Cumber Forgay. Oh, we had her featured not too long ago in the show. So she has said now that her business, I can't remember if she had more than one, because I think she has a luxury one as well, as I thought. But Cayman Villa's 5 housekeepers had to be made redundant in August. 4 months, no income coming in. The rest of the staff are in half pay, handling a small number of local staycations, which, by the way, remember she was in the news because she had a property that they were saying they didn't want any locals. They didn't want any residents of the Cayman Islands renting it. Well, good for them, because they must be in a position to have that property stay empty for a very long time. COVID is not going away. And if you think that by next year, January, our borders are going to fully reopen and all these vacation rentals are going to be swinging again with visitors coming in, it ain't happening. It really isn't. It will be a very measured reopening until either they find a vaccine that the vast majority of people are willing to take. And remember now, you've got a lot of anti-vaxxers who are saying, even if they find the vaccine, I'm not going to take it. And if you have people with that mentality wanting to come to your shores, well, how is that going to work? What are you going to do? Only let people in who are willing to take the vaccine? And we can already see that people have been lying about those things. So she has had to close her office, right? And again, she said, despite the soft opening of the borders earlier this month, there was little interest from the owners of the 94 properties in her portfolio in visiting Cayman while a 14-day quarantine remains in place. She says her owners are suffering too. The businesses have been impacted and they don't have the time or inclination to come to Cayman for a long stay. A lot of owners are taking their markets out of the vacation rental pool and seeking long-term tenants to get them through. Well, I hope they know that long-term tenants means it's going to be someone local. You see how all of a sudden we got to be flexible? The same people who didn't want residents renting from them because it was a vacation home. Now we'll be seeking to have those same persona non grata people renting from them. So now they're going to put it in a long-term vacation rental situation. Isn't that ironic? And, most people are not going to be looking to rent a vacation home or rent it long-term all the way out in Cayman or Rum Point area if they work and live in Georgetown or whatever. And, the money that they were making off of these vacation rentals, let's face it, you're not likely to make that off of a long-term rental. You're likely to maybe make a third of that or a fourth of that. So Cayman Villas has been on Owen Roberts Drive for more than 30 years, and it's moved to smaller office space at Don Foster's building on South Church Street. So her father, Mervyn Cumber, has offered her the space to cut costs and keep the business afloat. Very fortunate that she has those connections. Cumber closed Don Foster's dive shop, as you remember, when the virus first hit. And he has since leased part of the business to long-term employees. Sergio, who is running a reduced operation without the retail and tour boat business. Well, it is what it is. It's unfortunate. So I understand the government's position. I know that businesses are hurting, especially those in the tourism industry. And so here's a business that was planning for its 50th anniversary this year. And now, they are downsizing to the point where maybe eventually they will be closing completely. So whatever little we can do to open up our borders, yes, I think it's helpful. However, not at the detriment and risk of our health and well-being and safety. We just can't risk it. Elaine says it's going to take a death in the family for most Jamaicans to wake up. I kind of get the sense, and my Jamaican friends and family on here can certainly give me their opinion on this. By the way, starting next week, Danica is going to be joining us, hopefully on a weekly basis on the Tuesday morning show, to cover at least for at least half an hour, 45 minutes, to give us a little bit of update on regional news. So you guys can start tuning for that. Tomorrow morning, we should have a very interesting show. I'm just confirming with our guest this evening. And this is a situation with a rogue husband who wants to get a divorce from his wife, but he doesn't want to tell the truth. So the wife is coming on the program tomorrow morning. So make sure you tune in for that, because that's going to be super interesting. Good evening, Ronika. But back to your point, Aline, this is what I want to ask Danica and maybe other Jamaicans. Do you guys think that because in Jamaica, you've got such a large population, it is 3 million people, and you're unlikely, 128 dead, when you think of 3 million people, you're like, it's quite plausible that you don't know any of those people or any of their family members, and it just hasn't really hit home yet in terms of what's really going on with COVID in Jamaica. So do you think that people are a bit more nonchalant, a bit more relaxed because, it's the population is so large and you're not likely to know anyone who necessarily has been impacted by this? Even if 7,253 out of a population of 3 million, it's not a good figure, but at the same time, you might know any of those people. And I think Jamaicans oftentimes can be desensitized to death and to losing people. People are murdered every single day in Jamaica. So it's like, sometimes you hear about another murder. Did you guys hear one of the goat thieves? They beat him up so badly that he ended up dying of his injuries. And that was like, it's just another day. The only thing that made that story interesting was the fact that apparently stealing goats and cows is like a big criminal activity in Jamaica. And so people are getting sick and tired of having their livestock stolen. And when they finally caught them, they beat him into pulp and he ended up dying from his injuries. Nicholas said the issue is that they're linking it to politics. For some reason, they feel as if the government is trying to control them, and that's just stupid. Well, I don't even know if they feel that way, Nicholas, because they voted the same government in. So in my mind, you vote the same government in only if you think that that government was doing a good job. So it must be that they kind of feel that things are under control in Jamaica. Sue says, tired of these people here who think they know it all, looking for apartments to rent to quarantine. It's unbelievable that they don't get it. So here's what we've been told about that situation. I said to a very high-ranking government official, how are you going to know if someone trying to come in is trying to rent a place or has a place or whatever? Guess what? They're relying on us, the public, to let them know. I'm like, how are we supposed to do that exactly? This person who was bold enough to advertise on EK Trade, that's because they didn't really know, I'm sure. Remember I showed you guys this ad this morning? They didn't know that they can't do this. And so they boldly advertised. But now that people know you can't do this, they're going to go undercover. They're going to just be asking friends and family. So who do you think is going to be reporting on them? I don't know. This to me just doesn't make any sense. And you're expecting the public to assist you with information. So if you want us to be your informants, I think you better tell us who's applying to come in. Because then that would give us a keen idea like, okay, Janet Smith from Kingston. Remember back in the days how you would have a person's photo, their information, this person is applying for status. If you know any reason why they shouldn't get it, let us know. Oh, this person is getting a divorce. Like all these public notices used to be in the newspaper, and now we've done away with all of those things. Maybe for COVID, we need to bring public notices back. Here's the 150 people on this flight that are all applying to return. Let us know anything that you know that the authorities should be aware of. Come on, folks. If the government wants us to be informants and to help them, they need to give us the tools to be able to do just that. Otherwise, how can we assist? We can't realistically, right? Francis says, asking for a friend. They just want to know if you're staying at the government facility, will the fee have to be paid? No facility is going to allow you to stay there for 2 weeks and then say, give us the money. They want the money up front. So I bet 5% paid up front, or at the very minimum, a 50% deposit. But I'm kind of thinking you're paying for your entire stay up front. Because it's not a situation, Francis, where you can say halfway through your stay, oh, I've changed my mind, I'm going to go somewhere else. You're there for the 14 days plus, depending on your test results. So Morna does not like the idea of government reopening our borders. Alden, she says, the premier is under pressure and maybe we should leave it to him. Well, this is his decision. And he's saying that the money's running out. The government doesn't have any more money. So Janelle, thank you so much for tuning in. So Janelle says, I'm a Jamaican. My kids and I wear masks everywhere we go and shower when we get home. So, Janelle, I'm curious to know, what part of Jamaica are you in? I'm just curious to know. And do you find, Janelle, that attitude of you and your kids wearing masks, is that prevalent in Jamaica? Are the vast majority of people doing it there? So Morna says, we don't know what percentage that is. It might not be a large percentage. Hi, Karen. I'm being breached. Sue, we're getting some clarification on this by tomorrow morning. I should know. Yes, Francis, I suspect that the person seeking to come back in doesn't know that they are not allowed to just rent a room or rent a place. Sai, good evening, and thank you so much for tuning in. So we're talking about the one person who has breached. It's more than one person now that's impacted directly, but one person, two persons who breached, one person coming into the household. The entire household has now been moved to a quarantine facility. And the other person is also being detained by these. So I think, Nicholas, this is where we're going to get a little bit of clarification. So I don't know. I mean, at this point, it's supposed to be homeowners, people on work permits, etc. But I think you need to already have accommodations sorted out. If you're on a work permit, I do believe the chances are that you're going to be going into a a government-run facility or government-approved facility for quarantine. Elaine wants to know, why doesn't the government test these people coming in? I was tested at the Norman Manley Airport, and it was a mini clinic. They are tested, Elaine. That's part of the new protocols. So I'm still surprised how so many people don't know what is happening and how this is working. So let's take the last 15 minutes of today's show to really bring you guys up to speed in case you've been missing it. And then after this, I'm going to switch to the graduation ceremony so that you guys can watch that. So Elaine, we do know that people are being tested as they land at the airport. However, a test at the airport still cannot predict whether you have COVID or not. That test, I'm thinking, is the rapid test, or even if it's the PCR test, which here on this island, we can get results back in a couple hours, only tells you in that moment if you have enough of the virus to get a positive test result. The problem with that is, say I was exposed to the virus the day before. The incubation period for this virus is a minimum of 14 days. That is why they have used this 14-day standard. So that test is unlikely to be accurate depending on when you're exposed to the virus. The biggest way that you can be exposed to the virus is actually through traveling. So going to an airport that may have had thousands of other people in the airport that day exposes you. So say you're in the UK and you're at the airport, you turn around and jump on a flight. How long is the flight from the UK to Cayman? Is it 6-7 hours on the BA flight? You guys tell me, I don't even know. But 6, 7, 8 hours later, basically you're here within a 24-hour period of time, right? There is no way that test result would test positive if you were just exposed to it whilst at the airport or the day before or a couple of days before that. That's not likely to happen. So the quarantining period of 14 days is critical, and it has to be maintained. Remember, at one point the government was thinking, oh, we'll put on the bio bracelet on you and let you quarantine for 5 days and then let you out. And guess what? They had to reassess that entire situation, realizing that it is extremely dangerous to take the 5-day approach. No one anywhere in the world has successfully reopened without having a surge in the number of virus infections. Think about that. If no one else has been able to do it, why do we here in the Cayman Islands honestly believe that we are going to have a different outcome? Granted, we are smaller. Granted, we are saying we're not fully reopening. We're going to do this whole phase reopening thing. Just British Airways and Cayman Airways can come in. Technically, they are still repatriation flights. And yet I still have people calling me up to today saying, when can I'm here in a work permit. I want to leave, travel, and turn around and come back. I'm like, what do you think this is? No one can stop you from leaving. So even as a Caymanian, if you say I'm leaving, the government can't say you cannot leave. The only thing that they can control is how you come back in. So you will be subjected to quarantining on your way back in the country. And the issue with that is, right, if you just left last week, you go to Miami for the weekend, and then you want to turn on and self-quarantine, I think the government is going to give you a bit of a challenging time with that. Why did you leave? To go shopping in Miami, where the virus is rampant all over the US? And now you expect to put people at risk? We're going to stick you in a government facility. So thank you so much for letting us know that you're in St. Mary. Let me tell you what the St. Mary numbers are. I'm looking at the map. So the highest numbers are obviously in Kingston and St. Andrew. Second highest numbers are in St. Catherine. St. Thomas has 369. St. Mary isn't doing too bad, 178 cases. St. Elizabeth has 197. Manchester has 308. Clarendon has a lot, 394. So yeah, St. Mary actually has one of the lower instances. The lowest is in Hanover with 70. And then Trelawney has 86. Westmoreland has 137. And then St. Mary at 178. So I don't know if, maybe in the city in Kingston, less people care than people in the country in St. Mary. I don't really know. Flashpoint says the high rate of poverty in Jamaica makes it less likely that people will be able to stay at home or socially distance. It also makes it more difficult to maintain good hygiene practices. So yes, travelers coming in are indeed being tested. One person is being detained, and the way that was written in the press release, I do believe that means that they are in police custody. Larry says 6 months ago, the hospital in Bronxville, New York, was filled to capacity and had refrigerated trucks with bodies of people outside crying. And today, many people are not wearing a mask. Unbelievable. Larry, it's just like, as human beings, some of us, like, you got to really wonder. We don't appreciate the danger of a lot of things until it is literally right at our doorsteps. And then when it impacts us, remember the kid, I think he was in his 20s or 30s, whatever. He wanted to go to a COVID party. And it wasn't until he was on his deathbed, because he eventually died, that he's like, oh, I thought this whole COVID thing was a hoax. Now I believe it. But now you've lost your life. Morna is right. The president of the United States has not been a shining example. He has said some very shocking things about COVID. Lillian says we cannot keep the borders closed for a year over without some serious financial recession. We have to open back the borders at some point. Keeping it closed because of fear is not healthy. Well, it's not because of fear. It's because of reinfection. So that's not a fear. That's a reality. And like I said, Lillian, the challenge is, point me to any country that has successfully reopened. Show me one success story. And then you appreciate Turks and Caicos point was being lauded as a success story with COVID. And guess what? It is rampant and out of control. Level 3 they're at. It says here that the COVID-19 risk, according to the CDC, is high. And the CDC is recommending travelers avoid all non-essential travel to the Turks and Caicos Island. And they had actually been doing fairly well. So July 20th, Turks and Caicos reopens to tourists despite rise in COVID. So they were already seeing a rise in COVID. The residents claim they're ready. Well, all right. So they took a month-long hiatus due to the coronavirus pandemic. Provinciales, the third largest island and tourism hub, commonly known as Provo, was going to resume operations, but with strict conditions, including all passengers getting a negative COVID-19 test within 5 days of arrival. We know that just doesn't work, folks. Grand Turks, pubs and restaurants open for business again. They had 57 COVID cases as of July 20th, and that was up from 4 on June the 26th. And despite that, having a total of 81 cases with 2 deaths, they decided to reopen. We understand the financial risk to everyone. Well, guess what? Fast forward. That was in July on the 22nd. Let's go now to September the 10th. This is an article in Miami Herald. Oh, they want you can't read it for free. It says, it tells you to register for free, but let me just get you some information here because I do have an account with Miami Herald, so I can read it. All right, here's the story here, folks. This is the shocking truth in September. We're not coming up in a month, so I'm sure the situation has not gotten any better. So they reopened in July, and guess what? It has not been a success story for them at all. They're in trouble. And the question in this article is, oh man, they were so close. They reopened. So do not kid yourselves that there's no risk that comes with reopening. It is a matter of how bad is the risk and what can you do in order to mitigate it. Hi, Andy. How are you, my dear? So Francis wants to know, Francis says, asking for a friend again. I love when people say that. My friend is a permit holder. You say permit holders have to be at a government facility. Suppose a permit holder doesn't have that money to pay up front. Would the government still allow them to stay and pay at a later date? The short answer is no, because government is no longer going to be paying that for the vast majority of people. So unfortunately, it's actually not the work permit holder's responsibility, by the way, Francis. It's the responsibility of the employer to pay it. And government has made that very clear. And if the employer cannot afford it, then the person cannot come. And I fully appreciate the cost involved in these facilities, because there's a story that I'm working on now that hopefully by tomorrow morning, I'll have some additional information on that you guys are going to find shocking when it comes to these quarantine facilities. But the price point for them is into the thousands of dollars. So I totally appreciate, Francis, the situation. But if a work permit holder is allowed to quarantine at a home, and again, that is with the understanding that everyone in that home will be quarantining with them, that is something that they would have to apply for. So Dean Shillette says, I think it's better if your friend goes back home ASAP. If he hasn't come yet, just stay where he is. And unfortunately, I think work permit holders are going to have some tough questions to really think about. You know, they can apply to self-quarantine if they have a facility where they can do so. Some work permit holders they've got big homes that they can self-quarantine in. People can stock their fridges before they come. So they have a plan of action. If you don't have all of those conveniences, and it is unfortunate because let me make this very clear. The self-quarantining option is not for anyone who is in the lower echelon of the economic scale. And what I'm trying to say to you then is that if you are a domestic worker or helper and you live in a tenement yard, etc., government is not going to approve you to come because the risk is too high, just because of the nature of the facility that you live in. Now, I know that sounds very unfair. I totally understand that. But this is the reality of it. And this show is called the Cold Hard Truth. And so we are going to be entirely honest with you. All right. So the title of this Miami Herald article says how COVID-19 exploded in the Turks and Caicos, which struggles to contain the virus. This was September the 10th, folks. Updated on September the 11th. I tell you what, time permitting, it has an audio feature where you can listen to the article. We're going to let you guys listen to this in the morning, but basically it starts out saying for 6 weeks this summer, it appeared that an idyllic Turks and Caicos was beating back the virus as cases continued to rise elsewhere in the Caribbean. The Sunsplash Island chain, just 575 miles southeast of Miami, was holding its number of infections steady at 12. Then came June the 25th. The island's premier, standing at the podium in a Facebook Live press conference, announced that 12 new cases had been registered, doubling the number of positive cases overnight. 4 days later, she appeared again, this time confirming more cases and an exponential rise. We'll continue this discussion in the morning, folks, because the Turks and Caicos has a very similar population to us. In fact, we're a little bit bigger than they are. They have 40,000 residents. We have over 60,000. And as of the writing of this article in September, and that's now almost a month ago, they had gone up to 604 infections. And it had spread to all of the different islands within the Turks and Caicos chain. And they were scrambling to try to figure out how to contain it. This, folks, is the face of reopening. This is the reality, the stark reality that we are dealing with. And this is why anyone who breaches quarantine, the government should plaster their face all over the place so that we can say, this is the jackass of the century, and everyone should know who that person is. And yes, we all make them feel like shit. Yep. Thank you, Aliano, for those comments. Erica, is the quarantine places free for Caymanians or just at home? The government, I'll confirm that, Erica, the government had been paying for Caymanians at the facility. I need to check and see if that is still the case. The name of the government facilities, let me tell you, one is St. Matthew's. So their student hall is being used. Another one is the Ritz. So you can quarantine at some of these higher priced residents. So this was some information that we got today in a story that we're working on. The Ritz-Carlton, Palm Heights, St. Matthew's. I believe those are the three, but I'm going to confirm because I kind of felt like there was a fourth one, but that fourth one might have fallen out of the cycle. Rosanna, it depends on where they're trying to self-quarantine and with whom. So say, for example, someone is trying to self-quarantine in a household, because remember, the entire household has to self-quarantine, with an individual who is high risk, right? A grandmother, elderly person in the home, a person who is a diabetic, even a person who is just overweight. You're going to have a problem. Government is unlikely to approve you to quarantine with other people who are considered high risk? Francis, the fees vary. I'll provide that in the morning because I am working on a story, but I need to get some more information. All right, folks, tune in tomorrow morning. Like I said, we're going to have a very interesting show about this man here who's attempting to get a divorce from his wife, but he keeps going about it in the most unusual of ways. Something is just wrong with this guy and how he's doing it. I'm going to pull up now the graduation ceremony for Clifton Hunter, class of 2020, so that you guys can watch that immediately after the show. And time permitting in the morning, I should have additional information for you as well in terms of some more things related to the quarantine situation. So stay tuned. Our young people have worked hard. COVID delayed the graduation from over the summer months, but listen, they are now graduating. So congrats to them. Hats off to all of them and their hard work. I'll see you guys in the morning. Stay tuned and continue to enjoy the program this evening. See you in the morning.
Mr. Suku. Giroux Taylor. Giroux Taylor. Ithana Villalobos. Ladies and gentlemen, please again, we'd appreciate some applause for this group of Level 2 Honours graduates. Kayla Watler. Gary Watson. Orlando Wellington. Janine Wilson. Congratulations, graduates. Let us again take time to applaud our Level 2 Honours graduates. Thank you, Ms. Monteith, for your assistance. Okay, it is with great pleasure that we announce the recipients of the Level 2 diplomas with high honours. These are students who have surpassed the requirements for honours. They have earned passes in 9 or more subjects, with grades A star to B, or grades 1 and 2, or distinction and distinction star only. I invite the Honourable Minister, Mrs. Juliana O'Connor-Connolly, to present the diplomas to these candidates. Danae Alexander. Danae also receives the award for mathematics. Mr. Alvu Suku, if you could please help with this. Thank you again, Mr. Suku. Next would be Judith Anderson, but she's not with us this evening. She's pursuing her studies abroad and is unable to attend. Alejandro Bodden. Alejandro receives the award for Principles of Business, sponsored by the Wick Candles and presented by Miss Kimberly Connolly. Miss Connolly, thank you. Valentina Bustos. Valentina also receives awards for Office Administration, sponsored by the Clifton Hunter High School, and presented by Mrs. Catherine Baker McLaughlin. EDPM, sponsored and presented by Mr. Lance Barnes. And an award for history, sponsored and presented by the Honourable Dwayne Seymour. Well done, Valentina. Thank you, Mrs. Baker McLaughlin, Mr. Barnes, and also the Honourable Dwayne Seymour. Janae Camacho. Janae receives an award for social studies sponsored by the Honourable Dwayne Seymour and an award for business studies, BTEC, sponsored by Caymanian Times and presented by Mr. Ralph Lewis. Okay. Well done, Janae. Angelo Corsana. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please again show your appreciation for these students with high honours? Diamond Chambers. Diamond also receives awards for English, sponsored and presented by Mr. Chris Saunders, member of the Legislative Assembly. Also, Geography, presented by the Honourable Dwayne Seymour, Human and Social Biology and Integrated Science, sponsored by Health City and presented by Mr. Shamari Scott. And Technical Drawing, sponsored and presented by the Honourable Arden McLean. Well done, Diamond. Thank you, Mr. Saunders. Thank the Honourable Dwayne Seymour. Thank you, Mr. Scott. And thank you, the Honourable Arden McLean. Destiny Daly. Receives the award for art, sponsored by Cayman Art Gallery and presented by Mr. Carl Brown, and the award for chemistry, sponsored by Health City. This will be by Mr. Shamari Scott. Well done, Destiny. Heidi Ebanks. Torian Gomez. Monique Gordon. Monique also receives the award for CXC Physical Education, sponsored by World and presented by Mr. Samuel Young. Well done, Monique. Thank you, Mr. Young. Javon Lewinson. Javon receives the award for religious education, sponsored by Mr. Anthony Eden, member of the Legislative Assembly. We ask Mr. Malcolm Eden to assist. Biology, sponsored by Health City. This will be presented by Mr. Shamari Scott. He also receives an award for electrical and electronic technology, sponsored by CUC. I ask, please, Ms. Letitia Lawrence, Vice President Finance, Corporate Services and Chief Financial Officer of CUC, to assist with the presentation of these awards. Well done, Javon. Joshua Peart. Joshua also receives award for integrated science and physics, sponsored by Health City by Mr. Shamari Scott. Mr. Scott's had a very busy Alejandro Whittaker. Alejandro receives the award for Media Studies, presented by Mr. Ezod Miller, member of the Legislative Assembly. Be careful. Ajay Whittaker. Ajay receives the award of Sheena. Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Minister, for your assistance. Thank you also everyone else who either provided or sponsored the awards and also helped with the presentations this evening. As you can imagine, we are extremely proud of the Clifton High School graduate. You are all outstanding young people who will travel far and wide and make us very, very proud of your successes. I now invite all members of the graduating class of 2020 to please stand. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pride that I present to you the graduating class of 2020. Graduates, change tassels. Guys, please have a seat. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Chung and Mr. Clark, and congratulations to the class on 20. We are addressed by the giver. Ms. Teresa Echineki has been a civil servant for the past 27 years and is presently appointed as the Chief Officer in the Ministry of Community Affairs. Ms. Echineki has a Bachelor's of Arts in Social Work from the University of Tampa, and an Executive Master's in Business Administration, University of Toronto, Rotman School of Management. Ms. Echineki started her career as a social worker with the Cayman Islands government, Department of Children and Family Services in 1993. Working her way through the system, in 1999, she transferred to the Department of Community Rehabilitation as a probation officer and was promoted to director in 2003, where she remained until 2018, when she was appointed to Chief Officer in the Ministry of Community Affairs. In addition to her responsibilities as a Chief Officer, with oversight for the Department of Children Services, the Needs, Gender Affairs Program, Echineki as a board member of the Drug Council Foundation, continues to be involved in expertise and initiatives. So,
thank you so much for your warm welcome. Protocol having been established, I want to take this opportunity to wish everyone a pleasant good evening. To the graduates, parents, and teachers, I want to say congratulations. I normally would just congratulate the graduates, but as a parent, I completely understand and appreciate that it takes a collaborative approach and ongoing support with parents, teachers, and the graduates here to make this night a success, to make this night a possibility. Graduates, I am asking you, please, in appreciation for the hard education that your teachers applause. It is indeed an honor and privilege for me to be here with you this evening, as it truly warms my heart that you have selected me as your guest speaker. But equally as important, it is a pleasure to stand here and to be a part of this process in person. And in fact, I feel blessed to be here in person. With the uncertainty of COVID-19, and then just this week, a close call with Hurricane Delta, I couldn't help but wonder, will graduation actually take place in this setting? I recall being informed when I was initially contacted that due to the unpredictable circumstances, it might be necessary for me to pre-record my message in the event that we had to have a virtual graduation. I thought to myself, wow, how different, how unusual, how unique. This 2020 graduating class, I would also consider you and describe you as you amazing to have gone through a major crisis, attend classes remotely, to have been disciplined enough to prepare your class work in a manner and have it submitted, and to be here tonight graduating. You have highlighted that there is nothing that you can't do, and anything that you set your mind to, you will indeed accomplish. With such a determined attitude, all the places you will go. You are history makers, so don't stop now. Make your mark and leave your legacy. As you continue in your journey, I want to just take a couple minutes to encourage you to consider a few things that I have found beneficial in my life and in my career. Now I realize that what I will share with you tonight is not necessarily new, and you probably would have heard it before. In fact, this morning I got confirmation that what I'm saying is really not new, because as I was driving in to work and to drop my 13-year-old daughter to school, I thought, oh, on the drive, I would share some of my ideas from my notes night with my daughter and have light discussion. I got light discussion. Well, she listened, and then she proceeded to give me feedback. Now, you understand that my 13-year-old is my biggest supporter, but also my biggest critic. She kindly informed me that although very positive and sound ideas and advice, my information was probably nothing new to you, and it's something that would have been said already. Well, I guess we're never too old to learn, but I also realized that it's just way too late in the game for me to try to revise this speech. But the other thing that I did realize is some things are just beneficial enough and worthwhile enough to repeat. So, I ask you to consider my comments tonight as a friendly reminder of things that you already know. First of all, I would encourage you to find your purpose. Find your purpose, because it is not what your teachers want for you. It is not what your parents, your true desire. It is what is coming from your heart. So find your purpose. I recall many years ago when I was preparing for my first degree, someone asked me, why would you want to study social work? It's definitely not going to make you much money. So they then went on to give me some advice and say, you should consider a degree in law or accounting. Well, I probably would have made more money in those areas, but right in that sense. But I'm not sure that I would have been as happy as I am now, because my accomplishments, the people that I have had the opportunity to assist, successful stories, far outvalue any dollar figure. Although in different positions, I have been in my field of work now for over 27 years, and I have not regretted one day. As grace, I wish for you the same. You are very fortunate to have many career options to choose from. So follow your heart, find your purpose. Whatever career decision you make, pursue your purpose with pride and with passion. Take pride in whatever you do. Every role and every position that we hold is of significant importance, and there is nothing that is more important than any other position. Whatever you do it to the best of your ability. Your actions should be displayed in your dedication, your commitment, your punctuality, your appearance, your overall conduct. Always present yourself with respect and professionalism. Never allow your standards to drop. Now, I don't want to come across as the bearer of bad news, but if you have not discovered it by now, please note that you will have some very hard days ahead of you. You will struggle from time to time, but please don't give up. Persevere. Every hour, every day, every opportunity will give you the ability to review and start again. If you stumble, if you fall, don't stay down. Get up, try again. Work towards your success and your dream, and don't let anything or anyone stand in your way. Learn from your errors. Take advice. We are not perfect. There is always room for growth and improvement. As you strive and succeed in your life, I invite you to please support each other. Never think you have gotten so high that you cannot take the opportunity to help someone. Don't forget each other. And at this time, I'm asking you to just look at the graduate that is next to you. Remember their faces. Remember to check on them. Remember who they are. Give each other your support, your advice. Who knows, at one point or the next, one of the graduates that's sitting next to you might actually interview you for a job. Maintain your friendship and your partnership. Finally, in all you do, in good times and in bad, I encourage you to always pray for guidance. Surround yourself with positivity. Give praise and appreciation for what you have and the supported people you are blessed to have around you. I speak of this positivity from personal experience as I am surrounded daily by positivity. I am blessed to work with the Honorable Governor, who is always amazing, Fantastic. And I also have a wonderful team of staff members who are always full of laughter and who is supportive even in the most stressful times, which is almost every day. But this positivity is contagious and it makes our working environment very enjoyable. I encourage you to always smile and give a kind word, as you never know when it will make a difference in someone else's life or in your life. Now, just before I close, I'm reminded of something that one of my university professors shared with me. He said within 2 minutes of giving a speech to a graduating class because of their excitement, I would have lost them. So in the event that I have lost any one of you along, please give me your attention now to recap and to close. Remember, find your purpose, pursue it with pride and passion. In all things, never give up, persevere. Remember your partnership, remember your togetherness. And finally, always pray for guidance and give praise in all things. Be proud of who you are and of your accomplishments. Stand up for what is right and what you believe in. Be a part of our solution and make our beautiful Cayman Islands a stronger and better place now and for generations to come. You have a world of opportunity before you. Embrace it. Take advantage of all of your opportunities. And may God continue to bless and guide you always. Congratulations again.
Thank you, Ms. for those profound reminders. Things that our graduates know already, but certainly need in order to be history makers that they are and to make their mark in this world. One of the highlights of any graduation ceremony is the opportunity to hear about the unique experiences of the graduating class. This evening, I invite to the podium Ms. Danae Alexander, who will reply on behalf of the graduating class. Danae.
Dre Island said, some cry, some smile, some fight every day. We rise to the top because we know what it takes. Through it all, we survive, yet still hold the faith. Unchangeable. Lord, unchangeable. Having been established, ladies and gentlemen, fellow graduates, a warm and kind evening. It is an honor for me to deliver the graduates' response this evening. on behalf of the graduating class of 2020. I am sure I speak for all of my fellow graduates to say that this evening will be unforgettable. We thank God for bringing us thus far on our journey. Him, we acknowledge we can do nothing. Graduation represents the end of one chapter's lives and the beginning of another. Hard work has paid off, and today we stand together as proud graduates. As I stand before you, I am cognizant that we are faced with the challenges of changes taking place in our world today and the significant impact that the pandemic is having globally. This reaffirms my stance that our mantra, nothing but the best, imposes a great task to fulfill ahead. Make no mistake, our generation is poised to take the lead in the future. A future where competition will be more rigid than it has ever been. Our guest speaker has delivered a charge to us, one that must never be lost or forgotten. The scarcity of lucrative job opportunities, the acquisition of basic necessities of life, and our response to the changing needs of the global market will be paramount. The government of the Cayman Islands, through the mission, ensured that we received the needed knowledge through a robust education program that has opened up numerous opportunities for tertiary education that has provided for tertiary education locally and globally. To whom much is given, much is expected. At Clifton Hunter High School, we were transformed into more responsible, more competent, well-rounded individuals. We are ready to conquer the world. We turn adversities into opportunities. We will make our country proud. Journey with me through our 5 years as we reminisce our unforgettable time at Clifton Hunter High School. We entered year 7 as wide-eyed, shy, full of apprehension, little girls and boys, and took forever to learn our way around the campus. Our initial interest was the timing the bell to get the delicious meals prepared by Mr. Haney and his staff, and the excitement of socializing with friends during break and lunch. It was not long before came the reality of having to do 13 subjects and homework poured like rain. In short order, we were in year 8, and no longer were we the babies of the school. It was an escape from the constant but pleasant taunting from our older mates who made lots of fun of us in year 7. By year 9, options came, and many discovered that we were not even thinking about careers, much less moving into year 10. Oh, SBAs. We did it. Despite the challenges, we can all agree that we gained wisdom, discovered happiness, forged friendships, and though we did not do purposeful work, we did work. And that is why we're all here tonight. We are one of the most classes ever survived the pandemic. We survived the earthquake. We survived virtual learning every single day for 6 months. We embraced the new learning method, even though at times I'm sure we would have all preferred to post a TikTok. Within our small Clifton Kind community, we celebrated Nayo, Tia, Sir, Miami Classics, but also Joshua, Diamond, Valentina, Angelo, and Destiny. You elevate our performance and raise the bar for others to follow. Our top of the line designer, Ms. Georgette Ansel, we are proud of you. We were in pursuit of excellence. We even made it on CXC Merit List 2019, a feat unlike no other graduating batch in the Cayman Islands. What an outstanding accomplishment, Clifton Hunter High School. As the saying goes, little, but with Talawa. Well, Diamond, Joshua, and Dalia, teachers who placed our beloved Cayman Isles on the regional map. Then there were those who made our days filled with laughter. Alejandro, your hips still don't, Reese, and Jonathan, you surely kept us sane. One of the fun memories I'm sure we all recall too well is the water at the end of year 11. We were a secret at the time. It was our last day of school, and we decided to go out with a. We threw balloons while running away. Our favorite Jojo and Romeo. To our nothing but the best securities, we love you. Who could forget when we played hide and seek? We are so lucky to have Diamond with us today because no matter how hard Janae and Monique searched for her in the bushes, she just couldn't be found. Honorable mention to all cheerleaders who brought a positive vibe to our school. Yes, we had fun, but was always on our minds. I wanted not only to graduate, but to make it to high honors. The plethora of achievements of this graduating class would not have been possible without the help, support, and from our parents, teachers, counselors, and the overall inspiration from the entire community. To these mentors, I say, our success is your success. You taught us the importance of having faith when we doubted ourselves. You instilled in us the self-confidence needed to reach for our dreams. For these and their values, we'll be forever grateful. Tonight, we salute our teachers. Clark, allow me to say that as a child of math, you encouraged me to reach my highest potential. You and all of our math teachers are the reason I'm interested in math and are able to graduate today. To all our teachers of English language, we appreciate the effort and your working beyond the call of duty to ensure that we were well prepared to ace our English exam. Mr. Campbell, Ms. Bennett, Mr. Palmer, and the rest of the science department, we are grateful that you were always honest with us. Even when we felt like we were losing interest because of the difficulty of the subjects, you pushed us and encouraged us to rediscover our love for science. Mrs. Peters, you not only took time to bring out that confidence in Manicia and Cesar, who we all know and love, but you encouraged many other students to believe in themselves and continuously strive to reach their greatest potential. Mr. Williams, you inspired Shantae to work towards her passion. And Ms. Chuckton, you always motivated Nicholas to finish his work regardless of the circumstances. Ms. Dow, ayudó muchos a hacer la transición de su dialecto español a entender la vida y sobrevivir un entorno completamente nuevo. Aunque hiciste todo lo posible para asegurarte de que les fuera bien en todos los aspectos de la vida escolar, ya sea académica o deportiva. You helped many to transition. You helped many to transition from their native Spanish dialect to understanding life and surviving in a brand new environment. Always went above and beyond to ensure they did every aspect of school life. Miss Bailey, Hugo and Rayner to all other teachers, we appreciate you for the massive contribution that you have made to our success. Mrs. Thomas Anderson, you are a mother figure, not only to my tutorial, but to others such as Kaylee and Najee. You believed in us. In hindsight, you were truly our school mother. Mr. Hemmings, you were always there for us when we needed a teacher figure or just someone we could talk to. We will remember the sound advice you gave us. To all other tutors who mothered and fathered us along our journey, we appreciate you and will continue to put into practice the values that you have imparted. Miss McLaughlin, Miss Reed, Auden, we will always remember you. Mr. Lang, you strengthened our spiritual lives and brought the best out in Thomas. Miss Panton, we can only now appreciate the volume of homework. According to Gabby, it was for our own good. To all those at our school, Miss Beckford, Miss Dubari, Miss Amika, and Mr. Saratin, you nurtured us. We are grateful. Teachers, we truly appreciate you. You allowed us to sing our song, dance our dance, dare to dream, live our lives fully. You are our heroes. Indulge my gratitude to my own mom and dad, who were all there for me, especially when times got rough. You allowed me to explore all my interests, and you supported me in times of success and defeat. To all other parents and guardians, you motivated and supported us to go beyond, and for this, we are eternally grateful. We know that the cost of your love is really no charge, and we promise that your investment will continually yield rewards. Often, on graduation day, we look for heroes, but I see heroes right here. My fellow graduates, we do not have to look for inspiration. We all have the potential to make an inspiring contribution. Let's be true to our values and commit ourselves to large goals. Up to this point, most things have been decided for us. From now on, it's up to us to choose. Our contribution to the world will not be measured by the money or the accolades we receive, but rather the way in which we share our unique gifts with the world. And to find those gifts is within ourselves. I say in the words of Dr. Zeus, brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself in any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know. And you are the guy who will decide where to go. Class of 2020, congratulations.
Thank you for that exhilarating She's awesome. Let us give her another round of applause. There are some memories that will never be forgotten, and to whom much is given, much is required. There's one memory. With this group of students, there's something great that happened the year you were in year 11. Very interesting thing that happened. Simboco won. It would be remiss of me not to. We had to say that. That was a very good memory. Okay. That would make you smile. I like turn to Mr. Clark and Mrs. Chung to announce the students who will receive special.
I knew Mrs. Vassal couldn't get through an evening without mentioning Simbo. Danae, great job. Well done. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will now have the presentation of special awards. As you can imagine, from what you've seen so far, we cannot possibly highlight every achievement of this cohort. However, we will present some awards which recognize the accomplishments of this graduation class. I would like to call on His Excellency, the Governor, Mr. Martin Roper, to present the next award. The Governor's Achievement Award. The Governor's Achievement Award goes to students who have shown the most significant academic improvement, particularly over their last 2 years at Clifton Hunter. Now, this is based on their CAT predictions and their results obtained. We're really pleased to indicate that we have 2 recipients this year. These individuals most exemplify diligence, industry, and a fervent commitment to academic success. This year's Governor's Achievement Award goes to both Asa Bush and Nicola McLaughlin. Congratulations, Nicola, and thank you, Governor Roper. The next award is the Deputy Governor's Award and will be presented by the Honourable Franz Manderson. The recipient should exhibit good citizenship, leadership, promote Caymanian values, inspire and motivate peers, serve as a role model, and show academic achievement. Whoever receives this award will be very pleased with the very generous and thoughtful award that it is. This award goes to Diamond Chambers. I'm going to ask Diamond to stay on the podium, but say a big thank you to our Deputy Governor. Thank you, Diamond. If you could stay, please, Diamond. Thank you. The Award for Excellence in STEM. This award is presented to the individual who excelled in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It is sponsored by Cayman, and we invite Ms. Glenda McTaggart to present it on their behalf. Well done, Diamond Chambers. Congratulations, Diamond, and thank you, Ms. McTaggart.
The Leadership Award this year is sponsored by Cayman National Bank. The recipient serves as a school prefect and on the student council while at Clifton Hunter. The recipient of this year's Leadership Award is Kate McField Jackson. But unfortunately, Katie is overseas, but we congratulate her on receiving this award. We welcome Mr. Malcolm Eden to present the next award. Ethics Award this year goes to a student who displayed outstanding work ethics and integrity in every area of the school life. The individual demonstrated excellent study habits and consistently took pride in producing high quality work. This student also demonstrated kindness and respect, honesty, and a willingness to assist peers and staff when asked. The ethics sponsored by Audit is presented to Destiny Daly. Thank you, Mr. Eden, and congratulations, Destiny. I invite Reverend Christopher Mason to present the Christian Actor Award. This award is presented in honor of former pastor of the Agape Church, Pastor Al Ebanks, and is sponsored by the Agape Family Worship Center. The recipient is someone who upholds the highest standards of personal integrity and exhibits the values inspired by Christian principles. The Christian Character Award goes to Javon Lewinson. Congrats, Javon, and thank you, Reverend Mason.
We invite Ms. Shields to assist with the next presentation. The Foundation works within the local community to promote youth engagement and is sponsoring the Outstanding Community Medallion. This is awarded to a student who has demonstrated effort and shown improvement in academics, sports, behavior, and/or volunteering and community service. The recipient of the Soy Community Service Medallion In fact, there are two, which is very good. Monique Gordon and Denton Powis. Well done, Monique and Denton, and thank you, Miss Miles. At this stage, we acknowledge the leadership of the head boy and head girl of the graduating class of 2020. I invite Miss Franklin, Vice President, Customer Service and Sales, Cayman National, to present our Head Boy and our Head Girl awards. These are sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Thank you to Mr. Neil Alexander and Mr. Javon Lewinson for your sterling contributions as Head Boy and Head Girl of Clifton Hunter. Thank you, Ms. Franklin.
The next award, the Clifton Hunter High School Sportsmanship Awards, sponsored by Number One Shoe Shop and presented by Mr. Samuel Young. The Physical Education Department nominated one male and two males who displayed traits of good sport, remained respectful, and competed with good humor and fairness. The male recipients are Torian Gomez and Monique Gordon. The male recipient is Silver Hurlston. All participated actively in all aspects of sports at Clifton Hunter, and all represented the Cayman Islands in the Carifta 2018 and returned home with medals. Thank you, Mr. Young, and well done, Torian, Monique, and Silver. We invite the representative of the Cayman Music Entertainment Association, Mr. Edward Solomon, to present the award for excellence in music performance. This award goes to the student who excelled in music performance over the last 2 years. The Cayman Music and Entertainment Association Award for Musical Performance goes to Casey Blake. Congratulations, Kesia. And thank you, Mr. Solomon.
The Award for Excellence in the Arts is sponsored by Mrs. Cindy Ebanks in memory of her late husband, Mr. David Jonathan Ebanks, Jr. We invite the Honourable Dwayne Seymour to make this presentation. This year, the Award for Excellence in the Arts goes to Alea Reid. Congratulations, Alea, and thank you, Honourable Minister. Next, we will ask Miss Winsome Radcliffe of the Kiwanis Club of Grand Cayman to assist with this award. It is awarded to the most outstanding Key Club leader who excelled in leadership and community service. The student who exemplifies positive leadership and unwavering commitment to others is Gabriella Watson. Thank you, Ms. Radcliffe, and congratulations again, Gabriella.
Our next service award will be presented by Miss Karifa Jalem, President of the Lions. This award presented to the student who had demonstrated an excellent attitude to the service of others at school and in the wider community. The Leo Award for the most outstanding service goes to Diamond Chambers. Congrats, Diamond, and thank you, Mrs. Mohammed Jilly. Mr. Ian O'Connor, Senior School Improvement Officer, will assist with the presentation of the next award. The recipients of the Chris Bounds Award for Resilience are students who have overcome extreme personal challenges during their time at Clifton Hunter, but were able to rise above their circumstances and have met the graduation requirements. These are Nicola McLaughlin, Denton Powis, and Judith Anderson.
Judith's not with us.
Judith is unable to be with us today, so. Okay. Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Well done, Nicola and Denton.
Next, we have the Clifton Hunter High School Principals Award. I invite our principal, Dr. Richard Wildman, to assist with these awards. This seeks to honor outstanding students who reflect the ethos of this institution. The motto, nothing but the best. These are students who exhibited excellent deportment, leadership, and excellent efforts in the studies. The recipients of the Clifton Hunter High School Principal Awards are Danae Alexander, Diamond Chambers, and Joshua Peart. Thank you, Dr. Wild. Well done, Danae, Diamond, and Joshua.
I once again welcome Ms. Lisa Franklin, the National Bank, to present. The Clifton Hunter School recognizes the excellence of 10 students who earned the top high averages in external examinations in 2020. Kindly hold your applause until we have called all the graduates. We also ask the recipients to remain on stage for a group photo. Danae Alexander, 10 subjects.
Judith Ann, 11 subjects, but unfortunately not able to be here this evening.
Valentino Busta, 14 subjects.
Angelo Corsana, 10 subjects.
Diamond Chambers, 13 subjects.
Destiny Daly, 13 subjects.
Monique Gordon, 12 subjects.
Javon Lewinson, 12 subjects.
Joshua Peart, 11 subjects.
Ajay Whittaker, 14 subjects.
In the way.
I think if we move out the way, that can take a picture in a minute. Or we do it at the front. Probably line up there.
We thank the Cayman National Bank for sponsoring these awards and Ms. Franklin for presenting them on the recipients. You're going to do the last one. You change it.
I'll just do this one. The Clifton Hunter High School is proud to present the 2019 Award for Academic Excellence. I now invite His Excellency the Governor to present this award. We thank Ernst & Young for again providing an attractive cash award and a gift to the recipient. The 2020 Award for Academic Excellence goes to the student with the highest overall points from external examinations. The student who came out on top passed a total of 13 subjects with 9 grade 1s and top 10 CXE recognition in 2 subjects. The recipient of this award is Cayman Chambers. Well done, Diamond. And once again, thanks to Ernst & Young for the sponsorship and His Excellency for presenting the award. Thank you. Finally, Clifton Hunter High School is proud to present the best all-round student, the Student of the Year for 2020. This award has been kindly sponsored by CUC. I invite Miss Letitia Lawrence of CUC to join us for the presentation of this prestigious award. The Clifton Hunter High School class of 2020 was given the opportunity to submit applications to qualify for the Student of the Year award. 4 areas were assessed to select the top candidate: academics, leadership, extracurricular involvement, and community service. The recipient concluded her years at Clifton Hunter by attaining 13 passes at CSEC examinations. Ladies and gentlemen, the recipient of the Student of the Year award is Dali. Destiny is receiving a trophy and a grant from CUC to assist with tertiary education locally or overseas. Congratulations, Destiny. You have accomplished a lot in your stint at Clifton Hunter. We sincerely thank CUC and all our other sponsors for their partnership and investment in the development of our Clifton Hunter youth. Thank you, Miss Lawrence. We now hand the proceedings over to Miss Vassell for the rest of the programme. Thank you.
Congratulations to all who have received it. Sometimes you have to hold you when they have passed through your hands. But I will not say anything further. Well done. We have a special award for a past employee of this institution, Ms. Karen Lazary. Could you come to the stage? Can we give her a round of applause? Dr. Wildman, would you make the presentation to Ms. Lazary? Ms. Lazary was one of our executive officers who worked
tirelessly ensure all ran smoothly at the front office. And we thank you for your years of service. Thank you, Dr. Wildman. Now invite Ms. Destiny Daly and Mr. Heliandro Bodden to deliver the thanks.
Go on with it, go on with it. Yo, is it kidding me? Do us, yeah. We are coming here with a force.
Oh, wait. Oh, shoot. Protocol having established. Good evening, everyone. Essential to give where it is due. Destiny and I, on behalf of the graduating class of 2020, have been given the opportunity to thank those who helped us make the milestone possible.
Firstly, we want to thank our Heavenly Father for allowing us to have graduation in this tumultuous year. Secondly, we want to thank our keynote speaker, Ms. X. Chiniki, for her insightful and thought-provoking address. Believe me, you have left an impression.
Special thanks to the Minister of Education and all the ministerial officials for gracing us with their presence tonight, as well as our MLAs who are always at the school offering support in various ways. Tonight has shown that your investment in us has paid off and has paved the way for something special in the upcoming years. We look forward to continued support in our future endeavors.
Over the years, we have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated, dedicated, and qualified set of teachers. With their wealth of knowledge and experience, they have a firm intellectual foundation in our various fields. They have nurtured our talents, of which we perhaps had sight of or didn't know we possessed. They stuck with us through our worst of attitudes, and for this, we owe them a huge debt of gratitude.
We would also like to thank our previous principal, Mrs. Beck, for continued interest in our studies. To our canteen staff, thank you for working diligently to provide nutritious meals that gave us the strength to go throughout our days. And to our resident security team, big up yourselves and continue to keep this school in order and well secured.
To our friends and family, thank you and could not see our life beyond our escapades. You stuck with us when we were completely drained of life, the will to carry on because of our hectic schedules. Without the work of support, we could not have gotten through the challenges brought upon us by academic demands.
An event of this nature did not happen overnight. We are so fortunate to have a graduation having been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. This graduation required detailed planning and hard work behind the scenes. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated members of staff who use their talents to craft every minute of the program and to decorate the venue in a short period of time. It was simply nothing but the best.
Graduation committee, Ms. Maida and Ms. Cornwall, and their hardworking teams, you are always going above and beyond the call of duty. Thank you, as we are aware that this could not have taken place without your mastermind and your creativity.
We also extend thanks to all of our sponsors, especially Ernest & Young for their continued support. Likewise, to everyone who provided donations and gifts for our award. Thank you.
We would like to extend a final thank you to our fellow graduates. We all made it through high school, not only depending on all of the aforementioned members of our school, but we were also heavily reliant on each other. We kept tabs on each other, offering reminders of our schedules and the due dates for homework. We tutored one another if we didn't quite understand a part of the syllabus to ensure no one was left behind. The consummate unit. We all cried or laughed and celebrated as one. Our disappointments and accomplishments were done together. As such, I would like to thank you for a great high school experience, not as friends, but as family. The last years have taught us how to grow and overcome challenges and disparities, not only as individuals, but as a unit.
there is anyone we have omitted, we crave your forgiveness as it was not intentional. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Destiny and Alejandro. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for sharing this wonderful evening with us and the graduating class of 2020. As we prepare for the recession, I ask that you remain standing until the platform, special guests, and graduates leave the building. Ask at this time that the aisles be cleared. Guests and members of staff, you are invited to join us in the Simboka room, C35, for refreshments after the recessional. Please stand. Reverend Christopher Mason will now offer the benediction, after which the platform party will exit first, followed by the graduates. And please remain standing until the graduates have exited the building. Thank you.
Let us receive the benediction. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Lift up the light of his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.